first of all, that, as you know, this has been a long, complex and difficult negotiation at times. It's been very absorbing for the people who have been involved in it, primarily from our point of view here, the Chief Minister, the Attorney General, myself, Daniel D'Amato in Brussels, and other officials have also been involved at different times and or throughout the process. So it's been difficult. I mean, this last phase, since the political agreement was announced on the 11th of June, a lot of that work has been done remotely. But even recently, over the last few days, the last couple of weeks, we've had a situation where I've been in my office, the Attorney General in his, and the Chief Minister lying down on his left side on his sofa because he cannot move, trying to read text with one eye because of his medical condition. So it's been a very difficult process in itself, but it's been complicated sometimes by other circumstances.
Dr. Garcia, so before we go on to what comes next, why have we heard from the European Commission and the media, and in this case the Gibraltar Chronicle, and not from the Gibraltar government?
Well, this is an international treaty. An international treaty, you have to be careful what you say and when you say it. And there was a convention or a kind of agreement that everyone would restrain themselves in terms of making public statements. Once the Commission has made the public statement, effectively, and what they always tell us is once we go to the member states and tell them this is done, then it's very difficult to contain that information because there are 27 countries, 26 new ones, and Spain is one of them, 26 countries who suddenly receive this new information and it could end up anywhere. So at that point, it's better really to just tell people, you know, this has happened. Clearly, it's not the end of the process. It's to start the closure of one chapter, which is the actual negotiation, and then we move on to the next phase, which is the legal scrub of all the treaty text to make it legal text, and also the technical review to make sure that things tally, what you say in one part tallies with what's written in another part. That in itself can take several weeks, but again, that's only a phase. There are more phases after that.
So a legal scrub, what exactly is the legal scrub? Is it just legalizing, making sure that everything is above board?
So a legal scrub involves lawyers from the two signatories, the United Kingdom and the European Union. Gibraltar obviously will also be involved, as we have done throughout this entire process, and they will check all the text of the treaty from beginning to end. It involves things like, for example, which are more technical, like numbering, like headings, and making sure that things work, the treaty reads properly and is consistent in its different parts. So it can be quite a lengthy process as well.
Like stands part of the bill, like we're here in Parliament
Very
here.
similar to that.
Okay, then you have all these different nationalities. Translation?
Yes, so once there is, the lawyers are agreed, you know, this is now the legal text. We've been negotiating in English, so that text will be in English. But the European Union has 24 languages, and it needs to be translated into each of those languages. Curiously, English is one of them because of the relationship with Malta and Ireland, but it needs to go in all the other languages as well. And when that happens, the German or the French text will have exactly the same position, or exactly the same level of importance as the English text that it's been negotiated in. They all become equal at that point. So the EU has something like 4,000 translators, 2,000 of whom work for the Commission with support staff, and they will be charged with translating this into all the different languages of the European Union. Again, that will take time, but I think it happens all simultaneously. So if they don't do the French one, and then the German one, and then the Italian one, they do them all at the same time. So again, it's part of the process. Once that is finished, then the treaty can be signed. The signature means, you know, this is the correct text, it's a correct treaty, and it can be signed by the two signatories, in this case, the United Kingdom and the European Union.
Is that done on the QT, or can we expect some fanfare? Do we have to jump on a plane for that signature? Is it going to be like something big, like a ceremony, do you imagine?
I think we need to wait and see. Obviously, there are options, and it could be just a normal signing, or it could be a more ceremonial kind of event. We need to wait and see how that develops.
Is a treaty text actually published before ratification?
Yes, the treaty text will be published once there is a consolidated, agreed treaty text. So that will then be published. Now, the next stage, as you say, is that it needs to be ratified. And there are two separate ratification processes, one for the European Union and one for the United Kingdom. So in terms of the UK's own process, it will start in the Gibraltar Parliament, there will be a debate and a discussion on the treaty and on its contents, and then on a motion, the Gibraltar Parliament will signal to the United Kingdom, we are content with this treaty. I mean, it's up to Parliament to take a view, but we are content with this treaty, and we urge the United Kingdom now to ratify it. Then the UK starts its own ratification process, which can take, we are told, up to 21 days, and they'll have their own discussions and questions and what have you in the UK Parliament. Then there's a separate process, which is a European one, and that will go, first of all, to the member states of the European Union that meet in what's known as the European Council. Any member state there could, in theory, raise an issue or a point to ask a question if they want to. But bear in mind that the Commission have been the negotiators for the Council from day one, and they've been briefing the member states and keeping them informed as to how the negotiations have been progressing. So first of all, the Council, then it moves to the European Parliament, and it needs a consent of the Parliament, the approval of the Council and the consent of the Parliament. There are 720 members of the European Parliament. The largest single group are the European People's Party, in which sits Spain's Partido Popular. They have 188 members of the European Parliament. The next one are the Socialist Group with 136, I think it is. And then the third one are called Patriots for Europe. They are the third largest group. They have 84 MEPs, and Vox sit in that particular group. So clearly there are numbers and mathematics to be done, but a treaty which carries the approval of the seal of the European Commission, the approval of the member states and the governments of the different member states, would then need the consent of the Parliament. Clearly, we are not taking anything for granted, and we'll be making sure that we put across our views to MEPs when the time comes.
That could be a stumbling block, then, ratification by the European Parliament.
I mean, I wouldn't describe it as a stumbling block. It's part of the process in any treaty which the European Union
But could it
may
fail?
enter into. Theoretically, look, the mathematics, in theory it could. It's highly unlikely in the circumstances where it is negotiated by the Commission, where it has the approval and the backing of all the member states, including Spain, which has been the problem in the past, and where then the different MEPs will have to have a vote and to express their consent for the treaty.
And how exactly does that vote, that ratification, work within the European Parliament? For example, does it need a majority? Does it need unanimity?
The consensus and a majority. So there are 8 political groups in the European Parliament, as I said earlier. You have the European People's Party, which are the largest, the Socialists, then you have Patriots for Europe, Liberals, Greens, left groups. There are a whole range. The whole range of the political spectrum of Europe is represented there in these 8 groups. So the MEPs don't sit in national groups, they sit in ideological groups. And we will obviously, and I'm sure on the European side as well, be putting across why it is that we feel they should ratify the treaty, or rather approve the treaty or consent to it, because it's in the interests of the whole of the European Union, the wider UK-EU context, but also in the interest of the people who live in the region.
Deputy Chief Minister, let me get this right. We will be able to see the treaty text after signature, before ratification.
The treaty text will be published. So, for example, when it goes to the Parliament, it'll be published. I mean, when it goes to the Gibraltar Parliament, we have a discussion and have a debate on the treaty text. So that will be published. It's part of the process that you use in international treaties. It will be published.
What sort of time frame are we looking at? We're talking about Christmas coming up. We're talking about translation, signatures. What are we looking at?
So, I've been in this business too long to sort of burn my fingers by giving a specific time frame. But I've explained what the process is. I've explained that there are 2 processes, one in the European context and one in the United Kingdom Gibraltar context. This does not need to go for the approval of all the national parliaments of all the member states, which would have been a completely different situation. The member states approve it in council and it doesn't go to their parliaments. So it requires Gibraltar motion, UK Parliamentary ratification, then European Council, and then European Parliament. That is the process. And then after that, clearly, it doesn't mean the treaty comes into effect straight away. There needs to be a period of implementation to allow that to happen.
Well, I'm sorry, I've been in the business too long to know that I have to push you on this. So I have to ask you, when do you think that it will come to the European Parliament? Ballpark figure.
So it's very difficult to say. I mean, what I can say is that all sides involved in this process want it to happen as quickly as possible. We've heard that from the UK, we've heard it from Gibraltar, from Spain, from the EU. All of us are working on it happening as quickly as possible. So bearing that in mind, I mean, you know, it'll be next year, obviously, but I can't really say exactly when next year it's going to be.